At the risk of beating a dead horse, I thought I would do another video about conservative cancel culture. My previous TikTok videos and YouTube shorts on the subject generated quite a bit of discussion in the comments section, and given how effectively the right has been able to dishonestly portray cancel culture as a leftist construct, it's pretty easy to forget all the times that conservatives themselves have engaged in it. So if you'd like a convenient primer on a bunch of high-profile examples of conservative cancel culture, I'd recommend this BuzzFeed article. In my most recent vids, I referred to examples like the cancellation of the Chicks, Bill Maher, and all the times that President Trump threatened the press. But other prominent targets of conservative cancel culture, with or without Trump, include
Thank you, Lars.
Target, Kathy Griffin, James Gunn, French fries, Gillette razors, and plenty more. The fact is that modern American conservatives have had a love of cancel culture since the Red Scare of Senator Joseph
Beautiful.
McCarthy.
Thank you, Kirky.
At the risk
All
of
three.
being a dead horse, I thought I would do another video.
All right, so that's working. So let's see. This weasel is being awfully liberal with his definitions, typical, to which he responds, skim the article, LOL, it's a bunch of celebs and products. This guy is talking about boycotting, not cancel culture. He's trying to conflate the two, LOL. Let's see, LMAO, boycotting is a form of cancel culture. It was cancel culture before the advent of social media. When you boycott something and call for others to boycott it, them as well, to boycott that thing as well, you are canceling them. You're trying to hurt them reputationally, professionally, and financially. So if it's okay for you right-wing hypocrites to do it, it's equally okay for the left to do it to you. Stay mad, sweetie. Let's add a kissy emoji for the right amount of contempt. And send. All right. Let's test TikTok. Comments.
I'm responding to a comment that was left for me on a recent vid in which I prove that...
Oh my god, my masquerade is engaged in a nearly 100 reply back and forth on TikTok. So let's see. The one thing that sucks about the TikTok web browser is that it doesn't like take you straight to the comment section or the particular comment that you click on. So just guess we're gonna have to keep looking. Holy shit. Okay, here we go. Biden can't be held to everything that's caused economic downturn, but he can be held responsible for making it worse. The American Rescue Plan drove inflation. Oh, damn it. Okay, I guess it takes me all the way back up there. Let's start there. The ARP accelerated economic recovery. Let's see. Kirky, if you're still listening, how's my audio? Okay, while I'm doing that, the ARP accelerated economic recovery to the point that the U.S. such that the U.S. I don't want to say this. The ARP allowed, I don't want to be redundant because on TikTok you have a character limit. So the ARP allowed the U.S. to economically recover quicker than any of the G7 nations. It also increased job growth. Post-pandemic job growth. Sounds okay to me, but I'm not in an optimal audio setup right now. Okay, I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you. I can't remember what the Moody Analytics thing was. I guess we can look at it real quick. Let's go to the Google. Let's see. Well, it was Moody's, wasn't it? Hang on. Let me just double check it here. Moody's Analytics. American Rescue Plan. Moody's Analytics, of course, being a highly reputable investment analysis firm. They handle a lot of risk assessment. They're highly reputable. Let me find it. I'm pretty sure it was Moody's. Okay, I think, yep, I was right. It is Moody's. All right. So the American Rescue Plan boosted employment, GDP, and other key economic metrics according to new analyses by Moody's and the CBP, Center on Budget and Policy Priorities. Created 4 million additional jobs. So that was the one I was thinking of, where it didn't just help recover previous jobs. It actually created 4 million more jobs than what would have been created had the ARP not been passed. So, let's see if I can increase it here. Whoop. All right. The ARP allowed the U.S. to economically recover quicker than any of the advanced of our fellow 7 advanced nations. It also increased post-pandemic job growth by 4 million. We'll add a one. Oh, shit. Let's see. The ARP allowed the U.S. to economically recover faster than any other advanced nation. Added 4 million more jobs to the economy. And we'll just go ahead and start there.
So, according to facts and
whoa.
data, the economy generally performs better under democratic.
It's true. All right, so I got more to respond to. Damn. I might see. Let me see if I can move the chat thing to here. Maybe here. No, I guess we'll do here. Try and line this up. Okay, that'll work. That'll work. We'll this is a test stream. We'll try it. Okay, so what else?
Republican leadership. The comment
Damn.
says you neglected to point out that.
Okay. Masquerade. Inflation Reduction Act at least claimed to address inflation, though much of the bill is dedicated to spending. I'm pretty sure the time scale of that spending is vast. Inflation reduction, it's not like we're dropping another however many billions or trillions in the next year or so. It's supposed to be 5, 10, 20 years. Let's see. Let me just bring it over here. I just don't want to lose the thing. Okay. Okay, so provisions of the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. Over a period of 10 years, the law is estimated to raise revenue from prescription drug price reform to lower prices. Okay, so it's two parts. It will raise additional revenue over a span of 10 years from prescription drug price reform to lower prices, including Medicare negotiation of drug prices for certain drugs starting at 10 by 2026 and more than 20 drugs by 2029, and rebates from drug makers who price gouge $281 billion, imposing a selective 15% corporate minimum tax rate for companies with higher than $1 billion of annual financial statement income, $222 billion total, increased tax enforcement, $181 billion, imposing a 1% excise tax on stock buybacks, $74 billion, a 2-year extension of the limitation on excess business losses, $53 billion. Okay, that's how the Inflation Reduction Act intends to raise revenue for the federal government over a span of 10 years. Then it says in the same period, it would spend that revenue on addressing domestic energy security and climate change, including funding for drought resiliency in western states, $391 billion, deficit reduction, $238 billion, which, by the way, since President Biden's been in office nearly 2 years, we have seen a $1.4 trillion, with a TR, trillion dollar deficit reduction since the Trump years. Continuing for 3 more years, the expansion of the Affordable Care Act subsidies, originally expanded under the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, $64 billion. Increased funding for the IRS for modernization and increased tax enforcement, $80 billion. Okay, so my masquerade here is being disingenuous. Of course, he or she is. He or she is conservative, so of course they would be disingenuous. So we'll address this part. Inflation Reduction Act at least claims to address inflation, though much of the bill is dedicated to spending. So the Inflation Reduction Act, or IRA, or Irish Republican Army, it's an unfortunate thingy. Sorry, my phone's blowing up. The Inflation Reduction Act begins with provisions to increase revenue from a number of sources across a period of 10 years, and also includes projections on what they this is too technical, and again I've got 150 characters, so let's see. The IRA focuses on how the federal government will raise revenue over a period of 10 years and how it will spend that money on climate change, tax enforcement. I'm still running on how to spend that money. It's not focused on spending. It's not about short-term spend. Damn it. Let's take over a period out. Let's just say over 10 years. And how it will spend that money. It's not about short-term spending. Beautiful. Okay, and then we put a 2 because, of course, damn it. Every time I hit enter, it starts my video again. Although it's worth watching. So let's see. So one, we responded to this one here. We just responded to this one here. And now the next one is rhetoric against oil companies suspending leases on public land, promising to eliminate the use of fossil fuels. Okay. So this one again, Biden granted permits, which leases granted permits at a higher rate than Trump on existing leases. think it's like 12 or 24 million acres of public, aka federal land, but I need to double check that figure. It's been a while since I've sparred with dipshit conservatives about whether or not the president controls gas prices. He doesn't. No president does. So let me look here. Public land. Let me look at my Google Docs. Let's see. Acres. How about acres? Acres. Let's see. They're sitting on more than... Okay, my notes say... Just for giggles, by the way, I'll put this up. These are my notes that I said. Right here. This is from like, I think last year, maybe earlier this year. Oil producers are sitting on 14 million onshore acres that are unused and non-producing, and 9.3 million offshore unused. So it is about 23 million. Okay. All right. Damn, I'm good. Oil companies are sitting on 23 million acres of federal land. Fossil fuel is doing... Oil companies are sitting on 23 million acres of federal land and reaping record profits. Ah! Damn it. Emma Reese, hello, how are you doing? I'm doing well, Emma Reese. How are you? Just testing my setup here, responding to right-wing trolls on TikTok. I shouldn't say that. They probably believe what they say, but maybe not. Biden granted permits at a higher rate. Let's see. I can take out the higher rate than Trump. Granted drilling permits. Actually, here. Let's see. Let me start over. Let's say this. Let's say under Biden, oil companies are sitting on more than 9K permits, drilling permits. Sitting on more than 9K drilling permits, 23 million acres of public land on which to drill, and are reaping record profits. They're doing fine. Ah, okay. Let's cut out on which to drill of drillable land. How about that? They're doing fine. Boom! Mic drop. It's usually it usually is much quicker, but again, I'm trying to test this stuff in real time. All right, so let's see if there are any other comments on TikTok. Which game play now? I'm not playing any game right now, just chatting, setting up my restream and multi-stream. I haven't done this in probably 8 months. I moved since then to a different state. Want to make sure it's all working. New internet provider, new equipment. All right, so we responded to these things. Even if it's true that the numbers look good because of the pandemic recovery, where are the bad numbers to support Biden having a... what? No brand. I wonder if no brand is a troll. It's a problem. So the best way to deal with a troll, of course, is to starve it. Don't know if I want to give this person the satisfaction here. So let's see. I guess I'll respond on here because I'm going to record this and probably leave it up. So No Brand says, there are only two things Joe can brag about. One, botched Afghanistan exit with 13 dead soldiers and bringing the U.S. to the brink of nuclear Armageddon. Okay, and so number one, the botched Afghanistan withdrawal, as we've covered on this channel a gazillion times before, is a product of the Trump negotiated and signed Doha Agreement, which occurred in, it was January, February of 2020, when Joe Biden was still just a private U.S. citizen. It was President Trump, the Trump administration, who made a direct deal with the Taliban to withdraw from Afghanistan and did not include the Afghan government in those discussions, right? So they just kind of cut out the middleman and dealt directly with the Taliban, a terrorist group themselves. Trump retrograded, meaning he downgraded, he withdrew, he shrank U.S. personnel, U.S. resources in Afghanistan from I think it was 12,500 down to 2,500 by the time President Biden was inaugurated. So by the time Biden came into office, Trump had basically reduced the available manpower and resources in Afghanistan from 12,500 to 2,500. Trump arranged for the release of 5,000 imprisoned Taliban fighters as part of the deal with the Taliban. He let 5,000 Taliban fighters go. They went right back to the Taliban. Again, 5,000, which is twice the number of U.S. troops that Trump left in Afghanistan. Trump didn't include the Afghan government in the negotiations, so of course, it was one of the things that the Afghan government had going against it in terms of trying to manage the situation. So Trump, kind of like with the economy, left Biden a mess with Afghanistan, a commitment to get out, very few resources to get it done in a country that was rapidly collapsing, and he left Biden holding the bag. Standard Trump practice. So the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan, its failures were ultimately a product of the Trump administration. Biden did the best he could with what he had. He ended America's longest war. And yes, 13 U.S. service people tragically died thanks to a ISIS-K terrorist attack. So it wasn't the Taliban, it was a third party, ISIS-K. And that's tragic. But I will remind you that under President Trump, I think it was 50 or 60 U.S. service people died while he was president. So if we are condemning Biden for the deaths of troops, which fair enough, he's the commander-in-chief, Trump is about 4 times worse. So no matter how you slice it, Biden is superior to Trump in all ways, intellectually, morally, yes, even rhetorically, as a matter of record. Anything Trump can do good, Biden can do better. It's like the old Nike commercial. He's just the inferior guy, Trump is. So and we should remind conservatives of that. It's important and fun to point it out. Am I affiliated? Doubt it. Doubt it. Like I said, I have not been on Twitch in God knows how long. And I've made a bunch of videos about this too, so I don't know if I want to respond and give this person the satisfaction. I've had engagements with my masquerade, so.
I'm responding to a comment that was left for me on a recent vid in which I proved that.
Okay, so Rick here was responding to Ricola was. Okay, Rick here, Ricola, good pun name, has my back with my masquerade. He says, even if it's true that the numbers look good because of the pandemic recovery, where are the bad numbers that support Biden having a negative track record? Okay. For you. Most of these are supporting comments. Maybe I will move the chat over so it's not blocking my handsome face. My God, all the jobs were just being put back from before the pandemic, and the manufacturing jobs were set up pre-pandemic. Okay, if that was the case, you could say that about any recession ever. The jobs lost during a recession are just simply restored once the recession goes away. But we've never looked at it that way, and we've always credited, Republican or Democrat, we've always credited job growth under whoever is running the country. Like if a Republican is president at a time where a recession is beginning to decline or ease up, the jobs that are restored or gained under that particular administration, the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the Department of Labor have always counted those. Those are jobs that were not there and now are. So sorry, but the metrics haven't changed, and if we would count it for a Republican, we got to count it for a Democrat, no matter how much it upsets you. I don't particularly give a shit. Under the commonly accepted metrics for what constitutes job growth and unemployment and jobs being added to the economy, it's happened under Biden. And I will remind you, if you are quibbling over this, it was President Trump who was president and the chief executive and responsible for, the stability of the economy and national security when he was in office, and he mismanaged the pandemic. So if the pandemic languished under him, suffered under him because he was not honest about the pandemic, he did not encourage his supporters and his cultists to take it seriously, to wear masks, to socially distance, and he allowed the pandemic to essentially magnify and run untrammeled throughout the country, that's his fault. And the economic fallout is his fault too, because it wasn't like he took aggressive, responsible measures to try to contain the virus and the subsequent economic fallout. If he did, as I've said before, if Trump did do his best to manage the pandemic, if he took it seriously, if he heeded the advice of his own medical advisors and scientific agencies like the National Institute of Health and the Department of Health and Human Services, yada, 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 if he did all that and there was still economic fallout, then I wouldn't blame him, because I can say, well, at least Trump did everything he could at the time that he was in charge. But he didn't do everything that he could in the time that he was in charge. So it's perfectly reasonable to blame him for the consequences. So there's that. Okay. Do I have any?
List of tech terms I pronounced wrong for years until.
Appreciate that. No. All right. Oh, Christopher responded. All right, let's go back. Web page and React. What'd he say? He's like, I don't know if I can pull this up in shorts and make it a bigger part of the screen, but okay. Let's see here. So he says, are you going to tell me the boycotting exclusively has been a conservative thing, as anti-capitalist as libs can be? Nope. Here's the big difference. Left will cancel the average person, ostracize them from platforms, dox their resident for visits, or dox their works to get them fired. It doesn't compare. We need to be tighter with these definitions, bro. Definitions, not looser, bro. Before we know it, we're going to forget who's a sweetie and who's a laddie. Haha, oh wait. Okay, so number one, I never claimed that boycotting was the exclusive province of the right wing. Everybody has canceled. Every political faction, every wing of sociopolitics, we cancel all the time, right? So ever since civilization began, we have aggregated in groups, and we have typically culled those groups socially from people we don't like. So think of your friend group, right? You probably don't hang out and don't seek out and do your best to distance yourself from people you don't like. But even on a wider scale, like on a societal scale, we've always ostracized and shamed people who deviate from the commonly accepted norms of the time, right? And there was a time when that was conservative. So you think of the Hays Code, in the early 20th century, right, which regulated standards of decency on television, for example. So you look at things like I Love Lucy. They couldn't say pregnant. They always depicted husband and wife as sleeping in separate beds so as not to suggest, any sort of sexual activity or sexual relationship. There have always been societal standards of decency and norms and mores, and when people have broken those, they suffered professional, reputational, and often financial consequences as a result. And yes, liberals do it, and we see quite a bit of that now, relatively speaking, but conservatives have done it since time immemorial. When they were the predominant political and social power, They leveraged that against people who deviated from things that they didn't like. Not just in terms of, again, commercial pressure, but also with political consequences. So that was simply my point, is people who say the left is the only one that engages in cancel culture, or that the cancel culture is of the left, they're liars, or they're stupid, or they're ignorant, or maybe some sort of combination thereof, maybe two out of the three, excuse me. So that's all the point I was making. And I like pointing that out to conservatives because it pisses them off, because they rant and rave about cancel culture, but they're also the group that when a country music act, the Dixie Chicks, a.k.a. the Chicks now, criticized President Bush after 9/11, thousands of radio stations across the country stopped playing their music. That's canceling. Bill Maher, when he criticized the military, the U.S. military post 9/11, his show, Politically Incorrect, was canceled. And actually the White House press secretary under President Bush kind of mocked him for it from behind the pulpit. And we see it now. I mean, President Trump, has threatened to, he's referred to the press as the enemy of the people. He's threatened to, try to expand libel and slander laws so he can legally punish people who write negative press about him. We just see it all the time. Ron DeSantis, or the Republican Florida governor, Ron DeSantis, he's done it with Disney, the Disney Corporation, right? So when he was trying to pass the Don't Say Gay bill, and Disney spoke out against it, or indicated that they would, use their fundraising and their lobbying to try to oppose the bill, Ron DeSantis not only verbally or rhetorically attacked them, but he also attempted to use the legislature to revoke Disney's special tax status, which they've enjoyed for decades upon decades upon decades. And DeSantis was fine with them enjoying those special tax privileges until they criticized him, or until they indicated that they would not support him legislatively, in which case he tried to use the powers of the state to punish them. That's canceling. So the right does it all the time. And if the right wants to criticize leftist cancel culture, I guess we could have a conversation about it. I'm sure there are plenty of examples that I might agree with, but you have to do it from a position of humility. If a conservative wants to come to me and say, look, I think that there are plenty of times where the left overreaches. Here's some specific examples. But I also want to cop to the fact that conservatives do the same thing and would gladly do it again if they were the dominant cultural power. If you want to start a conversation like that, that's a good faith conversation that we can have. But if you're just going to imply or state that cancel culture is exclusively or predominantly of the left, you're either a liar, you're an idiot, or you're ignorant. So how am I going to respond to this guy? So I'll say no one said that boycotting was exclusively conservative, just that you've done it. So pretending that canceling is something the left does exclusively or predominantly is a lie. Gonna need citations on the left canceling the average person. I understand. It sounds like you don't want tighter definitions. You want a definition which ignores the right's long, tortured history of canceling and punishing people, groups they don't like. I'll say individuals and groups they don't like. I just like exposing your hypocrisy for what it is. And again, we want to add a smug winky emoji because it's always fun to remind people that the left, generally speaking, and Democrats, generally speaking, are morally, intellectually, and as a matter of record, superior to the right, to conservatives, and to the Republican Party as a political organization. So it's always fun. All right, we'll go back to me until this person responds. probably going to test a game here in a minute. I might see if I can get somebody to jump in chat. Do you want to jump? Almost said hump. That would have been Freudian slip. Do you want to jump in my test live stream to chit chat while I make sure everyone can hear you? You don't have to turn on your camera if you're currently pantsless. That is the ruminate policy. Cameras are optional. We don't force people to put on pants and turn on their cameras. Yay! All right, let's see. He says, I'll only turn it on once I'm pantsless, and this is Radical Coder, by the way. Let me know when you're ready, and I will call you. Get rid of this. He says he's just going to run to the bathroom. We also are fans of you taking bathroom breaks. You needn't defecate or urinate on live streams. Probably a TOS violation. Damn, Ricola coming in a clinch, man. He's clutch. Let's see if I can get this over here. Webpage again. Trump's rescue payout was twice what Biden put out, but that didn't cause inflation. Yeah, so there again, kudos to Rick for pointing this out. So a couple of reminders about inflation. I mean, look, again, we'll just be intellectually honest here. I have no problem admitting that it's extremely likely that the American Rescue Plan did contribute a couple of percentage points, 2 or 3, to inflation. I think that is the emergent economic consensus. Okay, so that's not nothing. But the fact of the matter is that inflation is global, right? It's not exclusive to the United States. And just as a fact check, Joe Biden and Democrats only run the United States, right? They're only in power nominally in the United States. So Joe Biden isn't the prime minister of the UK, which is experiencing like 11% inflation at this time, if I'm not mistaken. He's not, I'm trying to think. I'm sure there are other countries, not just Japan, I think maybe, but I definitely know like the UK and a lot of other G7 nations. Germany is experiencing high inflation. United Kingdom inflation. I thought I saw this like in the last day or two, so let me check this out. Anytime. Let's do last week. All right, let me drag this over here. Make the screen a bit bigger. Annual CPI inflation returned to a 40-year high of 10.1% in September, and the Bank of England expects it will peak at just below 11% this month. And that's, again, the United Kingdom, updated 2 days ago. Right, so again, Rishi Sunak is the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, not Joe Biden. So I don't think we can hold Biden accountable for a global phenomenon. So certainly, Democratic policies are in an attempt to, ease the Postponium just came here to say hello before going to sleep. Rarely surprised to see your stream. Wish you more growth, my dude. I appreciate it. Appreciate it, Postponium. Like I said, I have not streamed in months. I don't think since February. So, and I don't know how active I'll be in the streaming world. The reason I'm setting this up is my buddy Staxiums from TikTok. He and I are looking to do some like live streaming projects on Twitch and YouTube. We're still going to have our own separate channels. I still put out my small video essays and stuff like that. I actually got a little teleprompter because I know a lot of video essayists actually will script out their stuff, and typically I work improvisationally. So I'm trying to get better about that, produce higher quality content, which is why I've got the nice, RGB lights and everything. I'm trying to make it more palatable for people. But we intend to stream at least once a week and talk about politics and current events, and hopefully have discussions with folks who disagree with us, not just on the right, but also on the left if people think we don't go far left enough or that we're too far left or whatever, about specific topics, especially, midterms being about 7 days away, right? And they're consequential. So we definitely want to get started on this project, but I don't think I'll be streaming again like 4 days a week like I was trying to late last year and early this year. So, but anyway, I appreciate that, man. Appreciate it. So yeah, as I was saying about inflation, so again, I think it's perfectly fair to blame Democrats and President Biden for at least a couple of percentage points of inflation. That's fair, but they're not responsible for all of it. They're not even responsible for most of it. It's a global phenomenon in the aftermath and during a pandemic, right? And as Ricola actually points out,
I'm responding to a comment.
Trump economic... Why does TikTok do this? The Trump economic plans, the CARES Act, the American Heroes Act, collectively they were double the amount of the American Rescue Plan in terms of the spending and the money that it put in circulation. So it's perfectly fair to also assign blame to President Trump and the Republicans as well. Inflation domestically is a bipartisan problem, and on the broader scale, it is a global phenomenon that goes way beyond domestic American politics. So,
hey you! Yeah, you! Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, and I hope that you did, please be sure to hit the like and subscribe. Also, my link tree is in the description below, so if you have a sec, go ahead and share the love on all my social media accounts. Also, if you want to express an opinion, eternal devotion, or undying contempt, go ahead and leave a comment because we're always looking for feedback. And on that note, I look forward to pondering politics and pop culture again with you very soon.